Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:30 and it is really dark outside. Really dark out here. Just finished my walk with my dad. Feels good. Feels good to be home. We got home last night after several stops on the way back from Chicago. And we got home probably about 5:30 or 6. I hurried up and went up to Mom's because I forgot to water the flowers and watered them. And it's looking, and some of the cement was a little wet. Then I seen Tim coming down through the pasture, walking back toward the back of the pasture. And so I walked back there with him. He was looking for the 3 donkeys. They stayed back in the back part the night before, and so he wanted to go get them. And he told me my aunt had just been over there, so I think she watered the flowers. Thank you, Aunt Cindy, for doing that. Yeah, it feels good. It always feels good to come back home. I like going out of town for just a couple days anymore, but I don't like staying more than a couple days. I'm getting older and I like to be in my routines, and so I've developed this routine now where I get up, get my coffee. Usually Tracy sets my coffee to auto make half hour before I get up, and get dripped on. Hope it was water. And so, yeah, my eyes look dark. I think I need some more sleep. Got up about 5. So she usually makes my coffee. I have a cup of coffee, look at my daily verse, scroll through Facebook. I usually use Facebook as my news, my local news. But I actually turned the local news on this morning for a minute. We used to watch it every morning while the kids got ready for school. Haven't watched it for probably a year. And when Dad texted me, he got up, we went walking down the lane and back. Worked up a little bit of a sweat. Took Charlie, he wanted to go, so we took Charlie with us. And so here we are back, and yeah, it is dark outside. And it's going to keep getting darker, and then we're going to hit the daylight savings time. What is it, the first week of November? And then it'll be light out again. We'll all get to sleep the extra hour. Yeah, I don't mind daylight savings time when we go that way. Of course, it makes our days really short. I like to stay on this time all year round. You know, I'd rather have daylight longer at the end of the day than chop it off and try to put it at the beginning of the day. But I remember reading Mimi, like said it was from an Indian, you know, the feather, not dot, Indian, of only a white man can think they can chop off the end of the day and put it at the beginning and get more of the day, which we're not really doing that. We're just, I think it was originally done for farmers. Or maybe it's done for the school kids so they don't have to get on the buses when it's dark outside. I think that's the main concern there. But anyway, I was thinking this morning, and this will be more on the my techie side, the business side versus life side. So I know my sister, Holly, I think she watches these every once in a while. She told me she watched one of them, and she said, "Dad, got a little bit too techie for me." So, hi, Holly, if you're watching. Anyway, now I was thinking of, you know, small business. We're small business, 3 employees if you count Max. We never see Max. He goes up to Miles 1 day a week and takes care of their financials and things and whatnot. We just send him a check every week. And then we got Anna. She's starting part-time, and so she's going to be really good. And so now I'm looking for some more subcontractor to do actually development work. But being in small business, you have to really protect yourself. Probably even large business, bigger business, mid-sized businesses, that you have to protect yourself from losing your customers or losing your clients. I remember one client that I worked for, I think they have all their sales reps. They sell high-end patio furniture, home theater systems, pools, spas, and I think I remember they make their employees sign a non-compete NDA agreement that if they leave, they can't go out and start their own business to compete against them for like a year or something. So it's a good thing to have when you want to hire new employees, or you want to hire really subcontractors, either or, that it's good to go ahead and pay a lawyer to draw up an NDA, non-compete agreement. That'll give a certain length of time that whoever works on your stuff and has access to your client's things, that they cannot pursue taking on your client for themselves. I've learned this the hard way several times, where I trust people too much. That's my problem, I think. That's my problem. I don't know if that's a good quality to have or a bad quality. Probably bad in business if you just trust everybody too much. One in particular, I was working up at a client one time, and he told me, he's like, he had this other tech that took care of like his network infrastructure, and this guy had gotten laid off, and he told me, my client told me, he said, "Hey, do you got any work for this guy?" He said, "Do you need somebody else to help you?" He said he's looking for a job, and I didn't pay no attention to it, and I thought, well, you know what, I've got so much going on, I would really need somebody to come in and replace the Windows server for one of my clients. And they had a Windows server. Their technology kind of grew as needed, so they didn't really pursue paying for building up big infrastructure. And so I brought this guy in and kind of showed him what he needed and everything. And eventually he started sticking his nose into every other area of this client's infrastructure. And long story short, he's been there for 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years, but and really getting into some of the work that we specialize in, and it really, better not say anything. Mom always said, if you can't get anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So anyway, long story short, I learned my lesson that now when I hire anybody to do anything for us, we have an NDA, non-compete, that I make everybody sign, that they cannot go and pursue and work directly for my client, that they have to work through me or through our company to do anything for them. And I don't even let them build them anymore. I build them, even if they're doing, like recently I got connected, one of my clients they were changing their phone system and they needed a phone guy. And I don't really do phone systems. I just don't have the education for it. Don't ever need to. And so I was looking for somebody that had this old phone system that AT&T pushed real hard for a couple years and then just abandoned it. And so this client had this phone system. I could not find anybody that knew anything about it that would work on it. And I found this one guy, a real nice guy. And of course I gave him that non-compete. I just told him, you tell me what your rate is. I will bill my client, and then I will pay you. So you send me your time, I will bill the client for it. You send me your materials, I will bill the client, and then I will pay you. And that is a good way to go when you're hiring subs. That way, everything, you keep control of your clients, you keep control of your clientele and your customers. So a good thing to know in business, especially small business, when you're trying to start out and you need to hire people to do things to help take your workload, or just when you hire new employees that's going to be doing work that they could actually go out and do themselves. Maybe they're just starting out in this industry that you're in, and they need somehow to kind of jumpstart or kickstart their career in this, and so they have to go and work for somebody for a couple of years, that you make them sign that piece of paper, that contract that says you will not take my clientele, you will not try to undercut me and take my clients. So anyway, that's the thoughts I had this morning. Kind of out of frustration, a couple of things, but anyway, it's good to be back. Good to get back in the groove of things, get back in the routine. Like I said, as you get older, you get into more and more routine. I can see that. You know, I work with my dad, and I've worked with him for the last 20 years, and of course I've lived with him for the last 42 years, or I lived with him. I don't live in their basement down there. Live down the road from him. But no, I see them on a daily basis pretty much, and it's a good thing. It can get frustrating at times because your little personality differences, and just get frustrated with each other and their quirks and different things. I know he gets frustrated with things I do. I'm more of a messy person, not quite as organized, and I can see Dad getting into his routines of things he does, and it gets more habitual, more religious in things he does, and it's got to be the same. And as you get older, you get more, you know, set in your ways of doing things, and that's the way you do them, and you don't want to do them any other way. So I realize that, and I realize I am starting to fall into that, and not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. I'm not knocking it, but anyway, I got to get off here. I've got lots of work that's piled up over the last week, and so I need to get on it, get on a roll, and get going. So I will see you in the next video. But Thursday, it's Thursday, so everybody have a good Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday if you work for Friday, if you're working for the weekend, if you hate your job, and if every day's Monday except for Friday, as that one guy told me, hey, tomorrow's Friday. So just be nice to everybody, treat people the way you want to be treated, and keep on keeping on.